Alright, it's Christmas time. I mean, what better to talk about than depression and discipline? Yay! Somebody asked me that question, what do you do when you have zero motivation to draw? And my first reaction was, I usually jerk off. But then I thought that's not really that useful of an answer. So today I'm gonna be ranting about some of the things that have helped me with motivation and depression and all this serious shit. And I'm also have a time-lapse painting video in the back so it doesn't completely feel like a bold sociopath slowly going crazy. So first thing is, I fucking hate YouTube videos that you know exactly what the person is gonna say just by reading the title. And you probably expect me to tell you that it's all about self-discipline and you should never give up and do the work anyway. And that's definitely a part of it, but I think people already know that. All these fucking motivational videos and self-help coaches, hopefully by now you know that if you're just laying around waiting for motivation to draw, it's never gonna come and your depression is only gonna get worse. But then you have all these art channels telling you just pick up a pencil and doodle something and the inspiration is gonna come. And you know what's gonna happen if you pick up a pencil in an art block? You're gonna pick it up, you're gonna draw for 5 minutes, and you're gonna put it right back down because you don't feel like doing it. So I feel like it's a little bit more complicated than just pushing yourself. And this video will be like split in like 2 parts. The first one being some weird philosophy shit that I think about, and then the second part I'm gonna be talking about some motivational tips that helped me. And people always want the motivational tips, but I feel like if there's not any philosophy behind it, you're still gonna feel like giving up again, and this is just gonna be another motivational video that you wasted 10 minutes watching. I mean, even if it's not, you're still gonna waste your time watching me though. So I feel like there's 3 levels to being a productive artist, and unless you get to the 3rd one, you're always gonna get into an art block and feel like giving up. And the first level, which is the lowest, is you're relying on motivation and waiting for inspiration to come for you to draw, and then you never get shit done and art block is kicking your ass. That's kind of obvious. Then the second level will be you relying on self-discipline and doing what you're supposed to. And that sounds great until you get tired and you can't push yourself anymore. And self-discipline and willpower is a muscle and you can definitely train it, but I feel like if you don't believe that whatever you're doing is gonna get you to where you wanna go, sooner or later you're gonna get tired. And I think that's the biggest problem, because learning how to draw is so complex. People just draw for a while, they don't see results, and then they get discouraged. And it would be awesome if I could just tell you, just push through practice, man. But we both know that's not really realistic. Like, you look at your little squashed portrait that you drew and you're like, I'm never gonna be good at this shit. So my advice for you when you hit the art block wouldn't be to wait for motivation or draw something quick or do some goofy art challenge, but it would be to think about 2 very important questions. What do you want to be able to draw eventually, and why do you want to be able to draw it? And talking to my students on Patreon, I found out that a very small amount of people are able to answer these questions. Pretty much everybody was like, I just want to get better at drawing. And that's great, but that would be like saying, I just want to get better at playing music. Okay, but what type of an instrument though? And I know that I always give these goofy examples and metaphors that don't really make sense, but I just hope that they can show you how ridiculous this shit sounds. Imagine you just want to learn how to play music and you start fucking around with the piano. Even if you have the self-discipline to hit some random keys on the piano every day, eventually you're gonna get discouraged because your shit doesn't sound like Mozart. And what people do is they think that, oh, I guess the piano is not for me then, but I still want to get better at music, so I'm just gonna pick up the guitar. And then the same shit happens with the guitar. You get discouraged, and after a while you feel like giving up on music because you didn't even know what your goal was. So I think that's the first thing, just deciding on what you want to get better at. Not some general fucking idea, but specific answers. For example, I just want to get better at painting digital portraits. And once you have answered what you want to draw, the next important question is, why do you want to draw whatever you want to draw? And I'm sorry to break it to you, but answers like, it just sounds fun, or it'll be cool to be able to draw that, it's not gonna cut it. Because the thing about your brain is that it doesn't want to do anything more than the necessary, especially if it's something that it doesn't believe in. So you can motivate and force yourself to do some simple shit like washing the dishes or folding your clothes. Even though that doesn't sound that easy, you have it right in front of you and you know what you're supposed to do. But with something as complex as drawing, which has so many different variables, you try to do it, but you don't even know where to start, and your brain is like, yeah, I think I'm just gonna take a cookie and jerk off. And that's why I hate this whole idea of drawing for a hobby. I mean, if you're 50 years old and you're retired and you're like, oh, I just want to draw for fun, maybe that can work. But if you're still young and you have all these distractions around you and you don't even know what you're supposed to be doing with your life, good luck with learning how to draw as a hobby. So you gotta know why you're doing it. Do you want to work in a studio? Do you want to be a freelancer? Do you want to design some goofy t-shirts that nobody's gonna buy? Or do you want to draw because it's gonna help your YouTube channel and you're a bold motherfucker making videos? But whatever it is, you gotta have some reason. And I'm not talking all these fucking self-help shit. Oh, you gotta know your why and how you're gonna change the world. Fuck that shit. Just figure out what you want to be doing with this drawing shit and then reverse engineer it so you can find out what you need to be doing right now. And that's the level 3 artist that I was talking about. Somebody who not only has self-discipline and doesn't rely on motivation, but somebody who also knows what they want to draw and why they want to draw it. It's really that simple. And listen, I hate doing videos like this because it makes it sound so easy and goofy. Like, just sit down and write what you want to draw and all your problems are gonna go away. They're not, but at least it's a start. And when I have art block where I feel like giving up, that's what I do. I just sit down and I ask myself, what do I want to get better at and why do I want to get better at it? Like, how is that going to help me? And you just write it on a piece of paper. And another really important thing about figuring out why you want to do anything is to realize that people are not just one-dimensional. Like, all of these fucking movies and comics make characters simple. Like, oh, he's good, he wants to change the world, or oh, he's bad, he just wants to hurt somebody. But the reality is that humans are a lot more complex than that. And there is a different type of consciousness at different times. So when you're feeling inspired and you're in what's called high consciousness, you might feel like, oh, I just want to draw and make videos because I want to inspire other people to draw. And that's a great goal and it sounds all healthy and shit, but sooner or later you're gonna get into a dark place and you're gonna start feeling like, man, who the fuck wants to listen to me? Like, who the fuck am I to inspire other people? And if you have only that one reason, when your mood changes, you're gonna feel like giving up again. So what I've found out for me is that there's 3 different types of consciousness. And this video is getting really weird, but I promise once I tie it all up, it's gonna make a lot more sense. Or maybe it's not. The first type, as I mentioned, is high consciousness, and that's when you're at your best. You feel inspired and you're thinking, oh, I just want to help the world and I want to inspire other people. Then you have the second type, which is middle consciousness, and that's more like your day-to-day stuff. Like, you no longer feel that inspiration and you don't really feel like changing the world. This is really where you're just trying to survive. You're thinking, I just want to do what I want to do and I don't want anybody to bother me. Like, that's the middle ground. And then finally you have the third type, which is low consciousness, and that's when you're at your darkest. You feel depressed, you feel jealous, you feel like everybody's out trying to get you and you're just thinking about yourself. So I think the key is to figure out why you want to do what you want to do in all of these 3 different states, because you're not gonna feel the same all the time, and even if you have one reason, it's not gonna be enough to keep you motivated all the time. And I ain't gonna lie, it's pretty fucking hard to do, but I can tell you my reasons and what I'm trying to do, and hopefully it's gonna help you with figuring out yours. Or you can just watch my bald head for 5 more minutes. So my focus right now is just building a personal brand that revolves around me drawing and sharing my experience. And my motivations in high consciousness are that I'm inspiring people, I'm teaching them how to paint, I make them laugh. I get comments all the time like, oh my god, you changed the way I draw, your tutorials help me. And that's great and it's really inspiring, but I'm not always in that state. I don't always feel like, oh, let me inspire somebody. So when I get in that middle consciousness, the things that motivate me are completely different. Now I'm thinking about how building my personal brand can help my day-to-day life. For example, I can't stand having a boss, and I know that if I just keep drawing and working, I can have my dream life where I just wake up wherever I want to wake up and I work on whatever I want to work, and it really fits my authority issues. But even that is not motivating enough when you get in those dark places. So when you get in that low consciousness, what motivates me are all the petty shit. Like, oh, I'm gonna get famous, or I'm gonna get rich, or oh, I'm gonna prove people wrong. And it's really toxic, but that's what helps me when I'm in that state. And when people ask me like, oh, why do you get motivated by likes? Because bitch, I'm insecure, I get depressed a lot, and I just want attention. And again, I'm not saying that that's what's gonna work for you. You have to find your own thing. But that's what I mean. You have to spend some time thinking about this shit and developing something deeper than just, I wanna have fun. Like for example, for you, it might be that you wanna learn how to draw character concept art so you can go work in Riot Games. And the high consciousness motivations of that might be that you feel like you can improve League of Legends and change the experience of millions of people. And the middle level might be that you feel like you're gonna work with other people who also like video games, so it's not even gonna feel like working. And then you have the low consciousness motivations where you feel like you might prove your bitch ass art teacher from high school that you can actually draw, and you can show your family that you can actually make money from art. But they're just different levels to what motivates you, and I just hate when people try to make it sound like, oh, just be grateful and try to help the world and be inspired by helping other people. Man, fuck other people. I mean, sometimes. Yeah, great, I'm really showing my high consciousness right now. So once you have all of this aligned and you have a little bit more awareness, then I just want to get better. It's all about you just putting in the work. And don't get me wrong, I still get demotivated and depressed even though I have all of these questions answered, but it's much easier to get back on track once you know where you're going. And something that helps me to get out of a demotivated state or an art block is to actually make things harder on myself. I think there's this idea that when you get quote-unquote burnout, you should chill and eat soul food and watch more movies. Fuck that shit. Because once you get in that cycle, you just feel even more unproductive, and then you feel even more depressed, and it just keeps going. Like your brain is only gonna give you as much energy as motivation as you need. And like, what the fuck did you get burnt out from? From sitting on your desk and scratching your pen around? You know, there's Navy SEALs who sleep 2 hours a day and run hundreds of miles. Like, what, you got burnt out because you were sitting down and drawing for 4 hours? Like, the mind and body is powerful, you just have to push it. And I know I said that the whole idea of pushing yourself is overrated, and it is, but that's only if you don't know what you're supposed to do. I think what happens is that people don't know what their goals are, they don't know how to get there, and then they just work for a while and they get burned out. But really that's just frustration from you not knowing what the fuck you're doing. Like, you ever had a burnout from playing your favorite video game? No, because it just tells you what you need to do, and then you just follow it and you get better. You might get bored of it, but that's only because it's no longer enough of a challenge. If your goals are clear and you keep getting better, you can never get burned out. So I start out with figuring what I want to do, why I want to do it, and you just get to doing it. And if along the way my brain gets me demotivated and pulls out a knife for me, you just pull out a gun to show him that you're serious. Like, you can't bring a knife into a knife fight because there's a chance you might lose. Just take a gun and shoot the motherfucker. And this again is a weird comparison, but I think a lot of artists don't realize that your brain is your enemy. Like, your brain doesn't want to create art or be productive or do any type of work. Like, all your brain wants is for you to be comfortable, pump out a couple of kids into a napkin, and go back to sleep. At least choose what you want to do, because otherwise it's gonna be damn near impossible. And when you chose, just do the work, because if your brain gives you a signal, oh, you shouldn't be doing this right now, go get distracted, and you do that, then it's gonna know that you's a bitch, and it's gonna be easier to get you next time. And it's gonna sound kind of weird, but yeah, as opposed to all the other shit you said up until now, Angel, fair enough. But I really see living my life as playing a Sims game. Like, I just picture having these bars like sleep and food and fun that I have to feel in order to be able to go do what I want to do. So I already know that I want to be successful. I know what I want to be successful at. So when I have zero motivation to draw, I just ask myself which bar needs refilling, because if I'm not feeling it right now, there needs to be a reason. And the reason why I said in the beginning of the video that there's gonna be two parts and you need the philosophy first is because if I told you that I just look at those bars when I have zero motivation, I don't think that would be really helpful for a lot of people, because you can't be worried about the bars and the motivation until you actually know what you want to create. And I guess that's kind of a sad way of living, because I see everything from going out with friends to eating food to having sex. It's just things that I need to do in order to feel bars. But for me, the opposite is even sadder, because if all you're living for is the food and the movies and the pleasure, you're not really living. Like, you're not really doing anything. You're just filling bars of the Sims game. And as hard as drawing is, or making videos, or building something, at least when you do that, you're actually engaging your brain. And I feel like real happiness, at least for me, is all about you just engaging your brain and growing in something. Like, the happiest moments of my life are when I'm live streaming in front of 80 people on Twitch, or I'm talking to one of my patrons and I come up with a new realization. And the funny shit is that those are the things that you're gonna have the most resistance while doing. But those are the ones that are gonna give you the most joy if you actually do them. Because sitting down and chilling or watching a movie has brought me pleasure, but never real happiness. And if I'm depressed while doing both of those, why not just do the harder one that's gonna make me grow as a person, and then maybe in the future I'm not gonna be that depressed. By the way, I love the fact that there's gonna be that one person in the comments, if you have real depression, you should go to the doctor. Yeah, by all means, if it's serious, please go to the doctor. Why the fuck are you listening to the weird bald guy on YouTube who keeps cursing? But I just wanted to tell you, man, like, as much as I sound depressed and I have constant anxiety and I shave my head randomly, this has been the best year in my life. From starting my Patreon to reaching $500 per month, doing serious tutorials on YouTube, live streaming on Twitch, opening up my merch store. I didn't feel like doing any of those things, but after procrastinating them for years, I finally sat down, I wrote on a piece of paper what I wanted to do, I started doing it, and now I'm more motivated than even before. And with the danger of sounding like the emotional mess that I am, I just wanted to thank you for making this the best year in my life, man. Like, I'm in love with this internet shit. I have even bigger plans for 2020. I want to release an art book. I want to grow my Patreon. So we keep moving forward, baby. And with all that grind talk and bullshit said, I'm not going to be posting a video next week, because I'm going to go celebrate New Year's Eve with my friends, and I'm going to take a week off. And I think this is my first New Year's Eve that I'm going to celebrate in like 6 years, and I'm not spending it home. And it's the first time I'm gonna skip a week of posting a video since I started this shit 2 years ago. But I feel like my friend's bar is a little bit low and it needs a refill. And I also don't want to end up as the crazy bald guy who's screaming in his room alone. I think it's too late for that though. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for fucking with me. Keep grinding, and I'm gonna talk to you next time, bitch. Yeah, but this hoodie though.